we'll get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Misty Denham Barrett, she, her, hers. I'm currently Associate Director of Residence Life at American University in Washington, D.C. And in a couple hours, wrapping up my term as Director of Membership Development on the MCUHO Executive Board. And my co-facilitator today, Ms. Angela.
Hello, I am Angela Delphine Meckler, she, her, hers. I'm a residence hall coordinator at West Virginia University. I am currently the graduate level engagement coordinator, but I am moving up to entry level. And I think, Chancey, you are my co, so I'm so excited. So yeah, I think this has been a great conference. We're excited to chat with y'all. Just to preface too, neither of us have side hustles. We're just really invested in having one at some point. So this is more space. Good, Misty.
In progress. We're trying to get there.
Yes. So this is, we wanted to create space to share ideas for folks who have them, to share aspirations and things for those who are invested in starting a side hustle. And so, yeah, I'm going to turn it back over to Misty, who has our questions.
Yeah, well, I dropped a Google Doc link in the chat for folks, which is where has a brief outline of just very basic outline. But then also we created a Google shared folder that we were hoping to just hang on to if folks wanted to drop resources in, things that have been helpful to them or things that they find along the way. I love creating shared Google folders where I just drop things in for people or get things from other people. So feel free to utilize that folder to drop in different things. The one thing that I will drop in there, if I haven't already, if you're on Facebook, one of the big things that has been helpful for me is there's a number of different Facebook groups for like side hustles and student affairs entrepreneur folks and different things like that. So I'll drop links to those if folks aren't already in those groups on Facebook, as well as some links to like Instagram accounts and other things like that that I have started following that have been super helpful in this process. But so as Angela said, neither one of us are experts by any means. No business degrees between the two of us currently. So we really just wanted to create this space for like-minded folks to come and chat and talk and maybe leave with some ideas or some motivations if someone has an idea and they want to talk through it. And we're not going to go around and necessarily do introductions before we get started, but if you share or talk, please just introduce yourself before you do so, so that we can get to know folks a little bit better. Or feel free to introduce yourself in the chat if you'd like. So just to get us started, if folks want to share sort of what brought them to the session, do you already have a side hustle? If anyone wants to talk about ideas, we're really open to just kind of a fun conversation dialogue. So anything or anyone that wants to get us started with thoughts or questions.
So I can maybe go. My name is Paul DeCock, he, him, his, Associate Director for Housing and Residence Life at Salisbury University. And when I saw this one, it was kind of interesting because I feel like I have a really fun side hustle. It's called VIP Kid. And so it's teaching Chinese students English online. And it's great, I think, for our profession because the hours are super flexible. You basically set your own schedule. You open up time slots that you're available, and then parents, or usually it's the parents, can book you. You have to be okay with early morning hours because of the time difference, because most of the students are in China. But all you have to have is a bachelor's degree and some kind of teaching experience. Those are the requirements. And so I did it about 3 years ago because I wanted to buy a new TV. And I was looking for something to do on the side, and for what we do, it seemed to work great. And depending upon the month, usually it's between probably $700 and $1,000 a month. So I think you can do some pretty decent side hustle money with it also. So when I saw this, I'm like, I don't know how many people had side hustles already, if it was more to share. So I'm like, well, I think it's a pretty cool one. So I figured I would come to the session and share it.
How many hours a week do you work on that?
It really depends. So each class is a half hour long and you get, or 25 minutes, and you get paid per class. They're changing their pay structure. Right now I make about $10 per class. So I do about 100 classes a month to get $1,000, but that would be about 50 hours a month. Usually I do 2 or 3 classes in the morning before I come into work. And then I do probably 4 or 5 each day on the weekends.
You have a link to a website or something you can drop in the chat?
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh. So one of the things that I am starting off to try and get off the ground, so if anyone knows me, like outside of this virtual Makuho 3-day experience, I have been big into fitness and health journey over the last couple years. So I recently just started a course to get my CPT, or my certified personal training. So I'm super excited about that. But I don't know if I exactly want to be strictly a personal trainer. I more want to use it to potentially be like a coach, a more well-rounded sort of wellness coach, specifically focusing on like trauma-informed practices. So that's something that I am trying to like get started, but I want to make sure I have the right certifications to be like trusted and make sure I'm communicating with folks the proper things to do. So starting with my CPT. So hopefully that will get off the ground once I get the certification there, and then also going to get a nutrition certification. So that's something that I'm excited about. So if anyone has any experience or folks that they follow or know that are doing anything similar, please let me know. I'm going to drop this link. I'm taking notes on the sheet in there, so I'm going to thank you for this link. I'll drop it in the notes.
And it's a referral link, but like if you don't want to use my referral, but you just have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them too. So
we're here to help each other. Why not?
I did VIP Kids for a month. And you definitely need to have, they say it's like you don't need an education background, but I felt like, because I think you do. There was a lot of like, I forget the actual technique that they use, the repetitive, help me out.
They use a lot of TPR, so like you're using your hands, but I don't know what age you tested into. Like there's different categories.
Yeah,
I was more a little bit older student.
Like, yeah, really young. I was like baby talking, like,
oh, yeah. I've got older students.
A lot of that, but it was still fun, and the hours, yeah. But like, you need to have, depending on the children, like an actual education background, which I didn't have, and it was really a struggle. But I loved it too. I really did. I also have, I've done a lot of side hustles, from gift wrapping to I was certified for spinning classes, which then my first side hustle with that was at the school gym and doing classes for them. That was an easy way of like getting experience in teaching and then moving on outside of the university. And now I'm going to send you my Instagram and Etsy shop. I'm an artist, so you'll see my stuff. And I do discounts for student affairs professionals. So if you're looking for gifts for coworkers, or even like I do cartoons of staff members all the time. If you're looking for good going away gifts or goodbye gifts, check me out. I know a lot of some of the Makuho people have bought some of my stuff and left great reviews too. I love the reviews, and that's what I really care about. I don't necessarily care about the money. I'll give you a big discount if you can give me a positive review afterwards, just to help with numbers. But yeah, it's been more therapeutic to do something, a side hustle that you really, really do care about. Not necessarily about the money per se, but money does help.
One thing too that I wanted to just bring to the forefront that someone brought up yesterday when we were talking about this was also the kind of cognitive dissonance that comes with like the work, and some of us really enjoy like a side hustle, and we might do it just to do a passion, but then some of us are doing it because we literally need to do it to make ends meet, and the fact that we have to do that in our work, and we can't just have a job that one job that allows us to pay our bills and live the life that we want. So that I know that that is a difficult balance that folks are walking, and so I wanted to take some time to acknowledge that as well. Whereas this might be, you know, trying to dip your toe into another field before leaving your current job, which I also know is the scary thing for residence life folks who live on, is like, do I want to make that jump to something else that isn't housing and residence life when there's a lot of security in pieces of it? So I just wanted to acknowledge that too. And we can discuss that too, because I know that that is a challenge for me in wanting to start a side hustle or think about expanding to another career, is sort of some of that security fears and challenges that right now my job comes with housing. And I'm a 32-year-old adult who's never paid rent because I've lived on college campus since I was 18. So you know, some of those stresses too. So if you want to talk or talk about any of those too, those are real parts of this process too. So wanted to acknowledge that.
Anthony, you have an Etsy shop. Do you find that Etsy is expensive in the fees that they're charging? I do event decorating and those trendy little acrylic signs that people love with the painted backgrounds. But I don't know if I should be posting just on like Facebook Marketplace or Etsy, but it seems like Etsy has a fee. So is it worth it? What are you finding?
Yeah, the fee, I don't see the difference. And if you can tell how much they actually take off, you just add it to your price. And I mean, it's really like $2 or 20 cents a month type of, like, it's really insignificant for me when it comes to the actual fees. I really don't see, you know, like that much of a difference when I get the actual pay. But yeah, I would recommend Etsy. It's just easy. It's just where people go all the time. I'm not very familiar with Marketplace, Facebook, or any of that stuff. I just want to concentrate on one. Like, I have an actual website and I don't touch it, so I'm going to probably cancel it. Etsy has always been the one that has been giving me revenue, and I'm just going to concentrate on just that site.
Who designed your website?
Oh, what is that? Wix. So
Love Wix.
yeah, I love Wix too, but like no one goes on touches it. I do all my business on Etsy or Venmo, like, because colleagues and friends or whatnot. Yeah.
Do you find too, so I have I want an Etsy shop. I have like multiple ideas. I really love thrifting and antiquing. So I would like to, I know there's people love buying some of that through online, but also repurposing it and, you know, painting things and stuff like that. But um, I was just curious if you find that the Etsy platform is also easier in the sense that it kind of runs itself and you're just shipping, you know what I mean? It prints the labels and those kind of things. I've done like Mercari and Poshmark sales as well. And so I think that is kind of an added bonus to it, is that it's a self-sufficient platform.
Yes. Yeah. um, it's just me. So like the more you put yourself out there in like different formats, the better. But like for me, that's just, a real side hustle that I'm not trying to go into anything like really big or have a brand or anything like that. It's focusing on just one platform and the most popular. We all go on Etsy. I think we even do that like at work for ideas. Um, Seems like the best choice for me and what I'm doing. But doesn't obviously it doesn't, it's not a one size fit all type of situation here.
I'm wondering, so I'm in a position where like I feel I have no talent outside of my job, which is why I chose my job because I'm really good at it. And so I think that that's something that I've struggled is to find out like what even like a side hustle would realistically be for me. And then I also struggle with the idea of like obviously like making money takes hours and like putting in the work, but I also find that like my job is so stressful that when I get off work, I'm like, do I really want to devote like those few hours I have to like not like being with like my partner and my family? Like, but I was wondering if anyone else has gone through or like is currently feeling like, hey, like I don't even know what a side hustle would like be, and like I'm struggling to figure it out. Like I just like I like my partner, she is like she loves photography. She doesn't have a degree in it. She loves photography. She can go out and like book a wedding and make like $1,000. I cannot. Like I do not have that skill. So I was wondering if anyone else is like going through that currently.
Hi, I'm Tori, she, her, hers. And so that's something I've struggled with too. I'm not a photographer. I'm not an artist. That's not my vibe. I'm not crafty in that sense. But it was just finding for me something that like I'm working through is I really love to read and write. And so when in undergrad, I had a few minors and one of them was professional writing. And so I worked really hard on my editing skills. And so one of the side hustles I'm looking at right now is getting into editing people's short stories, plays, scripts, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of websites for it. The reason why I haven't jumped in is because it costs so much money to like bid on scripts to get picked, maybe, or to join their software, join their program. But so for me, it's just finding something like that. Like I love to read and write. Like I do that in my free time already. So that's not adding really anything too much more to my schedule than what I already do. But now I can make money off of it. And with all that student debt I got, with these 2 fun degrees behind me, I need all the help I can get with it. So that's something like it's just finding a hobby that I like and trying to turn it into a side hustle.
Anyone, I saw recently a number of like videos or posts of people who are, especially during quarantine, doing like voiceovers or voice acting or like reading of books, like to be like the narrator or whatnot. But there's like a number of different websites I've seen. Some of them you have to pay to like get access to, and then you audition, like all those kinds of. Has anyone tried those or looked into those at all? I've seen it, but I've been sort of hesitant to look at it. I also don't know if I have a voice that people actually want to listen to and that kind of stuff.
Well, with me, back to Michaela's question. My name is Mahalit. Hello, everybody. If you want, since you're in ResLife, I've been trying to get into this blogging world. I did a little bit of it in my undergrad, and I'm trying to get back into it. And like talking with my RAs and one-on-ones and stuff, they're like, you should do like your RD life. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, no one really understands like entering ResLife. There's not much for like entry level and like grad school students. I don't know what level you're at. So it's like kind of seeing your behind the scenes and like not vlogging, but vlogging it. So you like TikTok or Instagram or whatever it is, like IGTV, you can just kind of day in a life and like kind of go through that and like see what you do in a day in a life, tips and tricks that you have to get the job done at the end of the day, stresses for the week, and like things to kind of see, because no one really has that. Because I Googled the job. I was like, let me see what this is about. Blah, blah, blah. But it was just like kind of resume descriptions, a few videos here and there, like little jokes here and there. But like no one really shows you like morning to end, week to week, month to month, semester, like things that you look at. So that might be something to do because you're already like your job. You're doing it every day and kind of just going into that.
Yeah, that just like inspired me of something like just for especially those who say they don't have time. Everyone has time. I don't believe in like, it's just whether or not you recognize it and grow with it or learn from it. Like I think even with spinning, you have to be certified. VIP kids, you have to have some kind of educational background. There's something that's like, but with residence life, I felt like I drove for Lyft for a year. I felt my ResLife background helped me with those conversations to get those tips. I did candygrams one time for like Valentine's or whatnot, like as a side hustle, because I knew I did that back when I was an RA or resident director, and I put out ads out there with my friends and on Facebook or whatnot, and then delivered around my area in Delco, Philadelphia. So there were a lot of things that were very ResLife-y that inspired me, like, oh, I can make money off of this. I won't use ResLife supplies and the construction paper. I'll buy that on my own. But like, I'll just continue doing this. And then because of that, it helped me strengthen my job as a ResLifer of like doing those crafts and all those things with my RAs or CAs to begin with, and like just polishing up both areas of my life, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the lift was like, I know how to drive a car and I know how to talk to people and and it would be very therapeutic for me, but it was always like, enlightening for a person to be in my car and talk about their issues or problems or whatever. You see them a little bit upset, you're like, is everything okay? You want a bottle of water? And then having a conversation like that, like I was their RD. And that lift was kind of really cool. You change you do your own hours, whatever. I definitely did not do the evenings or weekends because dealing with drunk first year students was something that I didn't want to do on my personal life when I'm driving drunk college students. But yeah, that just definitely reminded me of, gosh, there are other side hustles that I've done that were kind of like seasonal and very temporary.
Also, I think that sometimes one of the things that I've done a little bit of, but not like formal, like someone paid me, but more like an exchange, like a barter kind of thing, was like, resume reviews or interview prep, things that we do naturally in our job that like you can monetize for people outside of your environment, right? We get so much experience in all of those things that like other industries don't get. You'd be surprised. Like in our field, I feel like most people know how to write a resume or prepare for an interview, at least with the basics. But people who are like outside of higher ed and ResLife, like they don't have no idea what they're doing. So things like that, or like consulting in different areas, like things that are passionate about that you are doing in your work that are transferable skills that you can do like at your own time. Like I have a friend from Rutgers who's built an entire business and moved off campus and started out with resume reviews and is now in like a career advancement like consultant. And so I'll drop her Instagram too. She's also a great person to like talk to or potentially hire if you're trying to like figure out where to start with that.
Yeah, and that's something that I thought about because like when I think about like things that I would enjoy doing like outside, like I enjoy the career like development of people. Like I get like really passionate and enjoy that. And I was always just like, but I don't have like a certification. So how does one even like begin that? And I would definitely appreciate her Instagram because that was something I was interested in, but just had like no idea where one would like possibly start that.
To answer
Go ahead.
your
Sorry.
question from me, that your question was exactly why I did VIP Kid, because I was like, I don't know what other kind of unique skill sets I have. And my undergrad was actually in business. It was a marketing degree. So the only teaching experience I had was RA training, but it seemed to translate well. So that was exactly my thought before I did VIP Kid was, what am I good at? I don't know.
Has anybody run into problems having a business on a campus? Because like for our residents, they're not allowed to operate a business on our campus out of our residence halls because it's like illegal and they're not allowed to based on like our university's code and everything. So I don't have a side hustle. I'm kind of like Michaela. I don't even know what I would be good at to even try to do it. So I just thought this would be interesting to see what other people do. Like you, I have no artistic ability. If you've ever met me, I don't even know that I can draw like a stick figure well. But I just wondered if anybody who's lived on had problems running into like actually having like a technical business on a college campus.
Hi everybody, my name's Chancey, he, him, his. One of my coworkers just started, hi Mahalit. One of my coworkers just started an Etsy business not too long ago. she hasn't had any issues with it. I mean, in our contract, it only says that we're not allowed to like rent or like sublet like our apartments out. So, I mean, she's been fine with it. I host my podcast from here. I mean, they don't know I have a podcast. I mean, they kind of know, but like not really. And that was something that I started during the pandemic as well, just because it was something that I really wanted to do for a lot of time. And like I had a lot of downtime to do it. But she hasn't run into any issues here. And just to echo the information that Misty put in the chat, Nadija actually did one of my resumes that got me this job. So she's legit.
And I think, at least for me, all the schools that I've worked at, the only times that we've ever actually stopped someone from having a business was when it involved like physically using their room to host it. So like they tried to start a barbershop in their room, or like different things like that, where people like actually came to their room and like money was exchanged like there in the space. I think virtually, I don't know that that's something that I have seen as much like universities pay attention to, depending on like what kind of business you're using on the server at the university. But that's a different question. That's a whole different round table.
I used to have an RA that wanted to start a laundry service for the residents. Terrible.
Well, personally, I own two businesses, one in Jamaica, which is centered around tourism. But as of right now, it's not really like on the table for me because of the pandemic, and that market share is really small now. But what I do is this one I do in the Northeast America is to sell holistic products. And I'm completely fine doing it on campus simply because my niche isn't on campus at all. There's so many persons out there looking for new lifestyle choices to make, and I just typically just tap into this niche. Persons on campus know I own a business, but I don't think anyone has ever bought my products on campus simply because it's just not made for the campus population. So if someone was probably looking to go into that business and that being a problem, then there's a lot of ideas I know persons could find to reach out to persons in a virtual space, someone in New Hampshire, someone in Florida, just make a product and send it out. I think that would be the best route to take, because I'm not I am creative, but not artsy. But technically in my head, I could create some crazy strategies. But definitely I think we all have our own talents. But what I would suggest is try to make your next decision collaboratively. Meaning, if you're supposed to do something on your own, then there's a really high chance it's going to take forever to be done. But if you find someone else who might be able to have that strength, and two strengths work together for the end goal, or maybe even five strengths, if you could create a team like that, then for sure you'd be on your way in no time.
So what you're saying is we need to pair up in this group and figure out what we can do together.
Well, if persons in the group were open to that, definitely. Because I know maybe someone might be really good with communication and can make the words seem the best, and maybe the other person is really good at graphic design, and everyone just work together. For sure.
I was going to ask about graphic design and if anyone has done anything. My husband is really good with like Canva and other like really good. And so he's done free work for like some organizations. He's a medical condition, so he's designed logos for them, which is really cool. But I was just curious, like if anyone has gotten into that and if you've found any avenues for doing graphic design work without that degree.
Yes, I did a lot. I'm like writing a list of things here. But yeah, I did. I used, well, my my degree, bachelor's, is in graphic design. And so, but that was back in 2002. So graphic design back then was more like desktop publishing compared to what people can do on their iPads now. And Canva definitely helped me get back to, a level that was on the playing field as everyone else. And I did freelance work for dance studios and children's preschool type of after school programs. And I think it just matters about like people care about the price. I knew like, I'm not as polished as I would like to be. And so my prices were competitive as like, I'm using your business, us signing an invoice or whatnot as a portfolio builder for me. So that's just why, you're paying way cheaper with me because I'm just trying to get back into the business and try to build this big, and then I'll work on my prices throughout the months that I've been doing actual work. So, for someone who isn't, who doesn't have a degree or just using Canva versus like the actual pro applications that are like super expensive, like the Adobes, I would advise them really looking at the prices, looking what the competitors have right now, and other like Etsy was a good way of like me figuring out what my prices should be at Etsy. Looking at like, oh, my talent seems to be equivalent to this person's talent based on their portfolio or what they're selling on Etsy, and then shave a few cents off, and be honest, like I'm just trying to get a resume or a portfolio together. So let's work out a deal on what you want to happen, whether it be just a flyer or a mural or a poster or whatever.
I don't personally do graphic design, but I have a couple of friends who did in my undergrad, and they would kind of target to build their profile or portfolio. It would be a lot of going to, on a college campus, it's going to organizations, helping them redefine their logo so that your partner was in the medical field. Angela, right?
Sorry, could you repeat your question? I was typing.
No, you're good. You said that your partner was in what, medical field?
No. He actually he works for Target. He works in retail, and so he just loves graphic design on the side. I'm like, pick up an associate's degree or something. But he does it because he enjoys it, and it's just a creative passion. So I was just kind of curious of, can we make this something to fulfill that passion?
So easy thing to do is try to, or I say easy loosely. Like the next step will probably be just finding organizations locally, if not schools that want to host a program. They have no one creating their flyers for them. Just kind of piggyback on what someone else said about creating flyers and making sure that you kind of create a style. Like one of my friends' aesthetic is black and white. So anytime anyone needs a YouTube logo, flyer logo, anything in black and white, that was his thing. He could play with different things. And have an Instagram profile even if you don't have to degree, you have the work that you can showcase for it. So just having something to other people can look at is going to be where it's at versus having a degree. It's like I don't have the degree, but look where I've done. And then you can look at it and see the style and see what comes of it.
That's a great point. I appreciate that, and I definitely am gonna give him this feedback. I think too, like I like that having a specific style and like the black and white kind of thing, because he's good, and he has like this edge. But yeah, we'll see. If anyone needs flyers designed, he's good. I have him make my hall flyers for my events. So
I've also seen people who've used like the digital download sales on Etsy, like they've made templates or different things like that. I also came across someone who was like an Excel wizard basically, and they sold like Excel templates for different things, like formulas that people would use for like budget spreadsheets or payroll, different things when they're trying to create their own side hustle, but they don't necessarily have all of the skills. So like, even if you're like Microsoft wizard around Excel or something, like, I feel like especially during the pandemic, people are looking for all kinds of things online that they don't have to actually go and see another person for. So I've seen some of that cool stuff too. This has also been the product of my endless scrolling on TikTok, because a lot of people put all of their stuff on TikTok now too. So that's also a good place to market, because Gen Zers don't want to talk to an actual person. They want everything online. Other thoughts, questions, or if any brave soul has like an idea in their head that they just don't know exactly where to start and they want like thoughts or feedback from folks in this room, this is a safe space for that kind of thing. It is being recorded though, so it'll be on the website. Other people to see. Anthony's face just like freaked out.
I just had a question about so I'm looking for something because my husband's currently furloughed, so trying to figure out something just so we can make the holidays a little nicer than, you know, they would be if we keep going status quo. But like, how does everyone balance? Because our jobs are really demanding, and I personally have 3 kids. So how do you find the balance, the work life or the work life balance to do this? Because I've looked into VIP Kids and I've been considering it. So I might look a little bit more into that if I could do it early mornings, but I'm worried about balance and overextending myself.
I don't have an answer, but I will say that I have the same concern. Right now, I love event coordinating and I love this crafting project of making these signs and things. I have been reluctant to advertise more because if things take off the way that I would hope and the revenue comes in, that means more orders and a lot less time from my partner and my kids. So I am concerned in the same way. So if anyone has any answers.
I don't have any of those things, a partner or a kid, and I stress about the extra time.
Yeah, I agree with Misty.
Well, I personally, I kind of sometimes, if I really look at it, kind of wonder how the hell I do it sometimes, because there's just that little time in the day, but I try to get so much done, and it's typically I'm not even gonna hold you, because at the same time we need personal time. We could want to do all this stuff, but we need time with ourselves to basically desensitize from a lot of stuff, process a lot of stuff, you know, just the regular. So I try to typically get this done. I wake up personally like at 5 o'clock so that I could get all my personal time in before I start working right back until 5 o'clock. So that's how I normally do that. And within this time, that's when I'm trying to create the business strategy, trying to schedule some emails, because you know you can't really send email at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I schedule a lot of emails to be sent out periodically throughout the day at this time. And this way I try to say, okay, so I work for Residence Life, and then I do work for the business, and then I do personal stuff for personal development. I try to get these 3 targets hit before 9 p.m. every night, like at least, you know, so I could probably do everything else and then go to sleep. But I typically start the day early just so that I could try to balance everything so I don't implode mentally.
Yeah, piggyback. I'm not a parent. I wish I was. I hope that fostering will be in my future someday. So I can't really compare my life with yours, but like I felt like my side hustles, all of them, helped me balance my work life and my side hustle. Which side hustle life was my personal life. So it didn't never felt like another job, because it was something that I enjoyed doing or whatnot. And it was one of those motivators of like, I am leaving ResLife at 5 p.m. And I mean, there are days obviously where you know that you're going to come at, leave at 7 p.m. because of the beginning of this term or whatnot. But like, I use my side hustle as my motivator of like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave. And my employers have always been supportive of that life. But I'm not a parent. I can't imagine. I could
You can borrow them one day after the pandemic if you'd like.
Yeah, there's another side hustle.
Like,
free,
How old are they? Put them to work packaging your stuff. Like,
yeah, 11 months and 2.5.
No, maybe
11
not.
months is twins. Yeah. So no, we have our hands full, but I'm trying to find something to fit in to make ends meet a little bit better.
Has anyone found that when you're starting your side hustle, this may be an Anthony because you have so many, that you've struggled with the financial, the money that you have to put into it? Because I think that's my concern as well, is can I afford to take this step to purchase the supplies? Because that's a huge potential loss if this doesn't go well. So I was just curious, like, how you've navigated that. I see a lot of nods. Other people are probably like, yeah, I want to do this, but I'm broke. So I was just curious if anyone had any feedback on that.
I mean, when I started, the money that I made went towards the supplies. And so again, like the prices that I had just to get people to be interested in me was my cheap prices, and that I'm trying to build a resume. And so I have a whole Excel sheet of like all the commissions that I've made, which then that went towards more markers, more, and like last week I got an iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard and stuff like that. So I can start learning how to do Procreate, like the digital art that a lot of people are really into right now. Well, yeah, I mean, certifications for spinning, all those things, you have to invest some kind of money or put some, and that is kind of like going back to like, I'm lucky to have employers that, that understood what my interests are, and that they're going to be like, okay, yeah, you'll leave at 5 p.m. We won't give you the guilt trip. A partner who's always been like, supportive as well. I can imagine like if I were to have a family, that I make sure that there is a dedicated space for me, that it's not going to be touched by children, that I can do my work in private or in peace. And like, that would be my me space. But yeah, money does have to invest, and that's something that you would have to put into. But like, but I never really had a problem, because it was kind of like, I'm not here to trying to get out of ResLife within a year type of goal or motivation. It's always been more of a therapeutic, like, I work in ResLife. I need some kind of outlet. Again, but that is more on the creative aspect of my life. So
For me, with the CPT thing, I knew that I put it off for so long because I didn't have the money, but then I was like, oh, I'll buy the book separately and I'll study like in my own time, and then like I'll do it. And I was never doing it. So putting in the money has now forced me to also commit to studying and getting the exam done, because I had to put up the money up front. And I only have a certain amount of time to take the exam now that I've purchased it. So like sometimes, at least for me, and that was the same with like purchasing a gym membership or whatever. Like if I was telling myself I was going to work out at home, it was way less likely to happen. But when I pay a gym membership, I'm like, all right, I want to get my money's worth. So sometimes maybe putting a little bit of the money in up front may also motivate you to keep working, to keep doing.
Well,
Go ahead.
could go, Chance. Okay, so for what I would recommend, it depends on the type of business you want to go into. Like for instance, if you want to go into like if we're all doing this on the side, then it's going to be assumed that we're going to be taking on side level workloads. So that means you wouldn't have to purchase the inventory for like a whole year. Because the startup cost, sometimes persons look at the inventory for a whole year, but typically what you could do is probably for the first month. And that cost is 12 times smaller than the cost for the year. And then from there, just trying to say, okay, how I operated the first month, take the profits from the first month, and then you could buy for 2 months, and then for 3 months, instead of looking at, oh, I need to buy for the whole year. We could make all decisions like that. So all decisions are taken a week at a time, a month at a time, instead of bulking up for the entire year. Because then if you do that, then you won't have any money to spend on marketing, any money to spend on anything else. So that would be my tip for decreasing startup cost.
I know for me, I don't do my side hustle alone. So I do it with someone else. So that definitely helped cut costs. Like I wasn't necessarily just going into my pocket by myself. I had someone else to share those expenses with. But I also had someone else, kind of like what Misty was saying, to hold me accountable too. Like, you know, there were just some days where I didn't feel like doing certain stuff because like we do everything on our own. So like we run our Instagram page, we post all of our own content. But I did get lucky in a sense, like, you know, with whole like find someone to edit my podcast episodes, find someone to do graphic design and stuff. I got lucky with that pricing. You know, my frat brother cut me like, you know, he cut me a nice deal. And then I have a best friend who works in production. And so he knew a lot of people who could like help edit my episodes, you know, for a reasonable price. So, I mean, also maybe just tap into those resources that you may not necessarily know that, or not know, but like think of every day that are there. Because I definitely didn't go in the hole financially to start my side hustle per se.
This may not help you on the front end, but you can use all of your expenses on the back end for tax write-offs. And then like for me, I have like like a bedroom in our house, and all I do, like there's clothes and stuff in there, but that's really what I used to teach out of. And so you get a home office deduction. And so like if I wanted to get a new laptop, I could write almost the whole thing off. So you should be able to get some of that money that you spend on the front side. Just keep your receipts, and when you do your taxes at the end of the year, you should be able to deduct those.
I feel like funding your side hustles, the hardest part about figuring out your idea, like the next step. Just finding like passive income floating around, like that term, and that can mean more of like when you have kids, their schedule is kind of based off of their like what they want to do, what they need to happen. So figuring out things that you can do. There's Transcribe Me, where you basically transcribe videos and submit them on your own time, and what you do it on any time of day, and you submit it back to them, and you get paid for the video. Just find little things that don't need to schedule that you can do when the kids are asleep or when they're in the oven or whatever it may be. So instead of finding like a full time like so like funding that, like I work at Dunkin' all my free time, so I'm not on duty. I'm at Dunkin'. So in the summer next year, I'm saving me to travel with my friends once everyone like buying everybody's and shipping. So like finding different ways to kind of maneuver.
This is so good.
Thanks, Ryan, for the book recommendation. I'll drop that into the chat too, or into the document. Well, we're just about at time, and I want to give folks a little bit of time before the 11 o'clock that you may need to get your lives together. So thank you for joining us. Please feel free to bookmark the Google document as well as the drive if you want to drop anything in there. Drop your own things that you want to sell. We can support each other in our adventures of small business and side hustles. I put also another document in that Google Drive where I'm starting to add Facebook groups and Instagram accounts to potentially follow. So if you have other ones that you want to add to that list, please just add whatever you want. Open source. So thank you all for coming. We greatly appreciate the conversation. I know I got a lot of ideas and motivation from folks, so thank you so much.